Point Washington State Forest, and I had intentions of making a purposeful video, a video with a purpose, not just going off having a good time in the woods kind of thing. And I'm here at Eastern Lake Campground 1. The gate's right there. And I don't know, something told me I should check the weather radar. It's been cloudy and overcast all day. It's been raining like the past 2 weeks, man. It's been horrible. Little spots of sunshine here and there, but nothing really all that great. And so yeah, I was tooling around almost to the campsite, and I was like, all right, well, I'm here at the location. I should probably check weather radar and just see what's going on. And sure enough, it's about to start dumping down rain on me. I mean, there is a big old line of thunderstorms rolling through. I'm starting to get rained on pretty good right now. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to do this video right now. The video is going to be how to start a fire with wet wood. And I'll tell you, I don't mind getting rained on, but I'm not going to try and start a fire in the middle of a thunderstorm. It's not that serious. It's not that serious to make a YouTube video in the middle of a thunderstorm trying to show you guys how to start fire with wet wood. But I can give you a real quick rundown though. You really want to try to find grasses, okay? I guess I'm not going to actually make the fire, but things like this. Here we go. Things like these guys right here. Now these are still soaked. This is a horrible example, but one really good thing though is if you're in a forest with trees that have bark, the standing trees, if you can get up down underneath, this stuff here is pretty dry. I mean, it's all right. It's starting to rain right now. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna cut this one short, and yeah, I guess I'm gonna drive out of here. It was a fun drive in. I guess it'll be a fun drive out. So we're gonna get back in the truck, and man, this is a bummer because I really wanted to do this video too. This though, the bark situation, you can get up underneath some of this bark and it's dry. Okay, when you get some of this dry bark like this, you can really crunch it down and almost make a fine powder with it, and that's gonna light pretty good for you. I really wish I could show you guys all this. Finding some grass bundles, some dry grass, if you're in an area that has that. Another big thing though is you do not want to start this fire on the ground. You want to build some sort of a platform and get it up off of that wet ground. That's actually the most important step you can take to starting a fire with wet wood and in wet conditions, is get the fire up off the ground somehow, some way. Use your ingenuity, use your imagination. You can dig down. Finding dry stuff underneath trees is actually a good idea. You can dig down a bit. You can find some just under the cover of the pine straw leaves or whatever you're working with, up underneath some trees. You can find some dry kindling. Another big thing too is prepping your fuel. Start really small with your tinder, as small as you can possibly get it. If you have any kind of fire starting aids like paper or cotton or anything like that, dryer lint's really good. Go ahead, yes, use that. If not though, you want to get your tinder as small as you possibly can. Get that fire bed up off of the ground somehow. It doesn't have to be raised up on a table or anything like that, but just get it up off the wet ground, and that's going to help you out a lot. And also, if you can split some of your logs down to like quarters, like quartering some of your logs, and don't get the wood that's been laying on the ground for a while. That stuff is going to be drenched. It's going to be soaked. It's been sitting there absorbing all that water, all that groundwater. If you can find things like this guy over here, this one isn't dead, it's alive. But if you can find like a dead tree stump that's been sticking up, you can get, that water, that rain is going to shed off of that log, and you can use some of that wood. The inside of that wood's going to be dry. So if you can get yourself some maybe 6-inch diameter logs and then split those down into quarters or eighths even, you know, you're gonna have to have some sort of a knife or a hatchet or something. But let me tell you, if you're coming out here into the woods to do some camping or something like that, and you don't have a knife or some way to cut things up, you've already failed. Plain and simple, you've already failed. So hopefully you've got some kind of a knife. I don't care if it's a multi-tool or whatever, if it's got a blade on it, some way that you can get into a piece of wood and split that thing down, do that, because the inside of that log towards its core is going to be dry wood. And if you can get to that, you can use that as fuel once you get your kindling started. You get your tinder, then you get your kindling, and then you start adding that actual fuel to that fire. Once you get a good coal bed going and you get that fire going pretty good, then you can start putting some of your you know, more wet wood on top. But you still want to try to make sure you can put as much as dry stuff as you can on top of that fire. I do want to get out and actually demonstrate this to everybody, but there's a heck of a line coming through right now, and it's about to get, the sky's about to light up. I don't know if you can hear that thunder or not. And the rain's starting to come down a little harder. Here, listen to this. So anyway, yeah. I haven't been out in a while. Here's the day I come out, I was like, yeah, it's been raining. It's been raining a lot. Let's do a wet firewood video. And, but nope. The weather gods are against me, I suppose. And that's okay though. We're still having a good time. So anyway, recap, fire up off the ground, or at least on top of something, just off the ground. That's a big thing. Just get the fire up off the ground. As small of tinder as you can possibly get yourself. The smaller the better, and yes, of course, the drier the better. There are ways to find the dry tinder. Like I said, you can use bark off of trees, especially if you've got some trees that have a nice canopy over the top of them. You're going to be in even better luck. Like if I step off the roadway here and get a little farther back into this tree line, you know, you've got a lot of this right here. You can take your knife and you can shave down some of this and collect it. You know, this stuff right here, this will catch real good. And the cool thing about being in the South is, if you can find a good stump around of some pine, if you can get down to the fat lighter in that, you are set. That is, you know, that's going to be your godsend right there to get your fire going. If you can find some fat lighter. It's going to take a little work. That's why it's really important that you at least come out to the woods with some sort of a good sturdy knife, you know. A folding pocket knife, probably not the best idea. You want to get yourself something that you have to, you know, keep in a sheath, or if you have a small hatchet, fantastic. But if you can get down, get some of that dry bark off of some trees. I see a lot of trees around here that are up underneath these canopies that have some really dry bark on them. Here's another one over here. You know, I could probably get a fire going in about 5 minutes if I really wanted to. You know, this stuff here, if you get that first layer of this little stuff right here, look at that, crispy. You know, and it's been raining. It's been raining for like almost 2 weeks. And this right here, this is dry. This, holy cow, I can't believe I just found this, is another godsend. This pine tree has this resin built up on it here. This pine tree, I kind of say they bleed. This pine tree's been bleeding. And this whole little, looks like candle wax running down this tree. That's all sap. You can smell it. Pine sap is very, very flammable as well, especially when it's dried up in that resin like that. That's generally what you're gonna find in the core of some pine when you get to that fat lighter. There's a real resiny vein of wood and sap mixture running through that tree. And it'll light wet, you know, as long as you can keep a warm enough flame to it. Now I was gonna use a lighter. I bought this lighter on the way out here. You can use a flint and steel if you want to. If it's rainy, windy conditions, you're not gonna be able to do too much use in the sun. So a magnifying glass or a bottle of water or clear plastic bag with water in it, good luck, that's not gonna work for you. But hopefully if you're coming out of the woods and you plan on camping or doing anything like that, you've at least got yourself a knife and you've at least got yourself some matches. I think those are, some way to start a fire and some way to cut things up. Those are probably your two most important tools you can have when you're out in the woods. All right, that thunder's rolling in. This storm line's coming through. We're gonna head out of here, I suppose. Unless it breaks. If the weather breaks, I'll come right back to this, but I don't think it's gonna. So here we go. Sometimes it is like this. Peace.